Well, yeah, I mean, it's put the worry in me that whenever I travel far away from home, I can get kidnapped, and I have been kidnapped twice and held, on these trumped up charges. I'm obviously hoping for either a dropping of the charges or a complete not guilty verdict for both of them. But it won't really affect the work I do. It will carry on. But I guess I just need to be a bit smarter about it, and but it's terrible, James, the idea to think that I might have to self-censor and worry about what I say in case of kidnapping by thugs. It would be a victory to the dark forces if I were to compromise my message or what I do because of fear. But I have to admit, I am scared. I am scared. I've lost sleep over it. It was very traumatic. It was the worst experience of my life. And you see how if they make you a bit scared, they own you a little bit, and it's a very, very invasive and horrible feeling to be suffering. But going forward, I think I want to maybe. I've always been against organizations or pyramid structures, but I need to maybe develop a community around me, or not around me, but a community of like-minded people to look out for each other. Maybe a few hundred or 1,000 or so people who will, almost in a way, be a gang, but a gang for good, to look out for each other, because as individuals we can't achieve anything hardly, and it's just nice to know we have family and friends, and a community I think is necessary.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, we don't need hierarchical pyramidal structures, but we definitely need groups of like-minded individuals to come together at times of need and watch out for each other, for sure.
Yeah. What's the situation like in Japan with the New World Order and the police state, James?
That's a good question. The police, I would say, are not a presence here in a day-to-day, everyday sort of setting. There was not a G8, maybe a G8 conference here recently last year, I believe, and there was a lot of security around that, but there wasn't a lot of protest. I mean, Japan is not known for its violent street protests and things, at least not in the recent years. So you wouldn't notice the police on a day-to-day basis here, but they do have powers to do things like foreigners who are in Japan have to carry around a foreign identification card, and they have to present it to police upon request. There's no arguing about it, and if you don't have it, they can send you to jail for it. So, I mean, there are some pretty repressive things going on, but the police state as a presence that you would notice on the street is just not really something here. In fact, crime is not usually so in your face here. It's not as pressing as it is in a lot of Western countries.
No, it's funny. When I landed back in Britain, and my girlfriend picked me up from Heathrow Airport in London, and it's funny because I've done maybe about 100 videos on YouTube, and most of them include some form of hugging or cuddling the police, and there's smiles and there's that human connection. And after leaving Canada and coming back to Britain, I'd almost look fondly with a slight tear in my eye when the police van went past with the sirens blazing. Because you don't, I can't stress enough psychologically how much it is a matter of respect for the public that the police are not armed with pistols. And the fact that they're public servants and that they don't carry weapons of death makes, I think, the British public behave maybe more in a more civilized manner. They have a lot more respect for the police. So I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but after my time in North America, and again, I want to stress it's not a Canada issue, it's a New World Order G20 issue. But after my time in Canada dealing with the Toronto thugs, and maybe Torontonians are much more like America because of the proximity to the border, I don't know. But I never thought I'd say that the British police, in a way, missed them, and I missed their reasoned and level approach when dealing with people on the street. It's a much more, perhaps, a psychological police state in Britain, whereas in North America, it's a much more cowboy, physical police state presence. And I can't stress enough how British police, when dealing with an issue of free speech or public performance, they will really scratch their heads and think of ways to not have to arrest you because they don't want to do it. And I could be outside Downing Street, the British equivalent of the White House, with a megaphone, with the police sergeants and officers all looking at me, all shouting at me, and they will really kind of bend over backwards to not have to deal with you and not have to do the paperwork. But I can, well, as I saw with my own experience in Toronto, 1 hour of megaphoning led to questioning as to my papers and then an arrest. So, yeah, so what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is hooray for the British police. Please don't all fall victims to this international brainwashing which your bosses are trying to put under. And one more thing, if I could say one good thing for the British police, which I just want to say as well, they're not paying me to say this, I've got no affiliation with the police. The police chiefs in Britain rejected the Home Office's desire to arm every single police officer with tasers, the electronic torture weapons. Why did the police chiefs reject this extra weaponry, and why was the British Home Office, the Home Secretary, wanting them to have these electronic torture weapons? So, hooray for the British police, and thank God they voted against arming all their officers with stun guns.
Absolutely. Well, I must admit, after having seen the horrors of the G20, I'm looking forward to seeing more lighthearted interactions with British police and hugging and smiling and laughing and joking rather than armed, well, everyone knows, yes, armed police state officers. All right. Well, absolutely. Well, Charlie, I guess just wrapping things up, is there anything you want to say to the audience out there, or anything you want people to get behind, or that anything they can do to support you at this time?
No, I just want to say thank you for all the incredible messages of support I've had, and all the physical support on the ground by the people who came to pick me up outside the Toronto courthouse. I just want people to never lose the faith, never lose the hope that human beings are something worth standing up for, and that it's only through standing up for each other that we can actually discover the divinity of what it means to be a human being. Happiness will only come in helping others, and perhaps I just want to end with this, that it's the people who hurt the most that hurt other people the most. And imagine how brutalized the North American police feel having to wear those uniforms and drive around in their cars with shotguns and big guns and be part of a fascist culture which makes them take steroids and testosterone supplements and shave their heads like Marines. It must be very, very difficult for their souls as human beings to have to deal with that. So I think we just need a message of forgiveness, but also of reminding each other that our lives have value as human beings, and that there is a breaking point where we will, start to stand up for each other in much more organized and aggressive ways. But hopefully it'll never come to that, and I don't want it to ever come to that. But I am a human being, and there are things which I would happily die for. One of them obviously being my friends and family and my girlfriend. So it's just, what I'm trying to say is, let's not let history repeat itself, and just let's all stick together.
And watch what you're saying about shaved heads. I'll have you know it's a noble haircut. All right, all right, Charlie Veitch, cveitch.org. We're behind you. We support you, and looking forward to more of your incredible work in the future. Thank you again for coming on today.
Thanks, James, for having me on. I'll speak to you soon.